All right.
While we wait for all the viewers to enter the Zoom, I want to remind you that Vote 411 is now available. Vote 411 can provide you with information about the candidates you will be voting for, and has a printout feature so that you can create the ballot list that you can then take to the polls. And now for tonight's forum. I am Anitra Steele, Chair of the Forums Committee. Good evening and welcome to our forum for District 11 in the August 6th primary election. This forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Kansas City, Jackson, Clay, and Platte counties. The League of Women Voters is a trusted grassroots nonpartisan organization whose members do the hands-on work to safeguard democracy. While we neither endorse or oppose candidates, we are directly involved, or political parties, we are directly involved with sharing the important issues. Our mission is to empower voters and defend our democracy. We envision a democracy where every citizen has the knowledge, the right, the desire, and the confidence to participate. Our membership is open to everyone. I'd like you to know the other league members volunteering with me. Misty Yeager is the timekeeper, and you won't see her, but you'll see the little clock that she's managing. And our Zoom is monitored by Janelle Shu. The public has sent in the questions via the league's website, lwvkc.org. Tonight, we welcome our moderator, league member Tommy Sexton. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm a member of this league, but I don't live or vote in this district. All of the candidates running for the 11th district of the Missouri State Senate primary have been invited. Each term is for 4 years. There are 2 candidates at this point participating in tonight's forum. A third one may be able to join us later. Each 11th district voter is eligible to vote for one candidate of the party for which they are registered. We welcome and appreciate the following candidates for being with us: Joe Nicola and David Martin. I'd like for you all to know the other league members. Actually, they've already been introduced: Misty and Janelle, tech host and timekeeper. And know that the forum will be recorded and available archived on our webpage, leaguewomenvoterskc.org, and you can definitely find it easily on YouTube later. The candidates will answer each question in a random order. Each will have 90 seconds to respond to your questions. Candidates, please answer the question, ask, and stick to the topic. There will be no rebuttals, but you can go back to an issue during your closing remarks, for which you are allotted 2 minutes. So we'll start with the first question, and we'll start with Joe Nicola. Please explain why you're running for the Missouri State Senate and what particular experience or skills have prepared you to serve in the state Senate. Joe.
Sure. Thank you for the question, and thank you for hosting this debate. I am running for state Senate because I'm very concerned about our freedoms and our liberty. We're losing them little bit by little. I'm also very concerned about our homes. We are being taxed out of them. Many seniors are very fearful of losing their homes due to the high taxes. And I've been helping many seniors, holding forums around the district, helping them to apply for the senior tax freeze. And I've been a pastor for 34 years. I've worked for a school district for 17 years. I'm a U.S. Navy CB veteran, and I previously owned my own small business. So I've got a wide range of experience, and I've been involved in the community. I've been a community volunteer for 34 years. So my experience with running a business, paying payroll, running budgets with the church, with my small business, working with the school district. I worked with administrators, with teachers, and with students and their parents in discipline and helping train bus drivers in discipline, driving their bus, and with student management. So I have a wide range of experience over many, many years, and I'm very concerned about our freedoms. And that's why I'm running to help secure our freedoms and our liberty.
Thank you. David Martin, can you explain why you're running? Unmute.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Just leave it unmuted.
Okay, so so just get a little bit of background about myself. I'm a truck driver. I've been a truck driver for 17 years. Before that, I was a warehouseman for 7 years here as a Teamster, and I grew up in Northwest Missouri in Caldwell County in a farming community. I I know that I can connect to the voters and the residents of the district, and I want to do everything I can to help the community. I've seen what's happening with our taxes. The place I live went up over 300%. It's a very difficult problem for the residents of our district. So
Thank you very much. And we'll start with you next, David. Here's the question. Efforts fell short this year to raise the threshold to amend the Constitution. Currently, an initiative petition, which is supported by enough signatures and receives 50% of the votes cast, will be approved. Would you support making it more difficult to change the Constitution through our existing petition process, and why or why not?
well, I think the IP reform was necessary. We're one of the weakest states when it comes to our state constitution. We elect representatives in this state. That's from our legislators, House members and Senate members, and they are elected to represent us and make changes to our legal process here. And what the IP reform would do is give it back to the actual voters, the voters who elected their representatives. The way we have it now, it's too easy to just come in and change something very important, like right now we have abortion is not legal in the state of Missouri, and they would like to change it and make it legal. But our representatives have voted on this. It's a done deal, you know.
Okay, thank you. Joe Nicola.
Yes, I am certainly for IP reform. I think the main issue is not just making it more difficult to amend our Constitution, but it's more of equal representation. Right now, we have the population hubs of Kansas City, St. Louis, Springfield, and even Columbia, where we have outside money that comes in. They spend a lot of money and gin up the votes, get petitions in these areas, and they're able to get things in our Constitution that affects everybody, even the rural counties. So having it spread out to congressional districts or even state house districts, making it much closer to the people. So we would spread out the equal representation over the rural districts, where congressional districts would have to also, there'd be a 50+1 on the whole state, but a 50+1 in half of the congressional districts. And I think that makes it more fair and more equal for the voters of Missouri.
Thank you. We'll do this randomly, but with two, sometimes we'll do two in a row to make it random, so you don't always go the same way. We'll start with David again on this one. Question number 3. Lawmakers file many school choice bills every year. This includes a tax credit scholarship program for students in private schools, modifications to educational savings accounts, vouchers to expand charter schools, among others. Do you support or oppose those efforts? And how do you see this affecting education in Missouri?
Okay, so I was homeschooled. I never went to a public school. My mother taught us at home, and I would like to see vouchers, if necessary, to give parents who would like to homeschool their kids an opportunity to do so. And right now it's very difficult, and the cost of living is very high with the inflation and everything. So to afford the curriculum. I come from a family of there were 7 of us, so it's very difficult to afford it. So I'd like to make it easier for parents to send their kids to a homeschool, a private school, a Christian school, school of their choice, which would be best for them. Right now, you see in the public education system indoctrination into radical transgender ideology, and you've got CRT, which is very divisive, and you've got this whole ESG stuff where they just bring in people not based on their best qualifications. So this is why I would like to see it. I want to see children educated well, and I think that's the best thing we could do for them as children, our education system. So.
Thank you. Joe, Nicole.
Yes, well, I'm for education freedom. And by that, I mean parents must have 100% full right and authority to educate their child as they see fit, with no government strings attached. At the same time, I think we need to support teachers, we need to support students, and we need to make our public education system better. And I think we can do both of those at the same time. I'm concerned with the different programs that the government will come in and start mandating parents, schools, different types of schools, whether it be private schools or charter schools or home schools. And we need to keep the government out of home schools. So I want to see parents have 100% authority to educate their child as they see fit, and keeping the government to a minimum. The Department of Education from the federal government is unconstitutional. It should never have existed to begin with. I think we need to bring everything back to local control, and local school districts and elected local school boards, along with the parents and teachers and administration, they can make their own decisions as well for their schools. And we need to have less state and less federal government mandating education.
Okay, thank you. This next one will start with Joe. Sometimes legislators will need to consider bills concerning complex issues with which they have little experience, at least prior experience. Under those circumstances, what sources would you seek out to help you understand it, and why?
Well, this is something I've been doing all along. When I don't have an expertise in a particular area, I go to those that do have expertise. So I would call in experts, those who have been working in a particular field, those who have much more knowledge than I do in a field. I would listen to both sides. For instance, I have, even as a candidate, just recently, I have met with 2 chief of police from different cities in my district. I've met with 2 superintendents from my district. And I go and like when I was meeting with the chief, I said, look, I've never been a police officer. I don't know what you need, really. I want to hear from you. What is it that you need? How can we work together to keep our neighborhoods safe? And so that's my approach. Is I want to hear both sides, and I want to bring in professionals and experts in the field that have the knowledge, and then we can work together and come up with solutions that would be better for everybody and better for our citizens.
Thank you. David Martin, do you want me to repeat the question?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sometimes legislators need to consider bills concerning complex issues with which they have little prior experience. Under those circumstances, what sources would you seek out, and why?
Well, I think that we're adults and we've lived life, and I think that we can see right from wrong. I don't think we have to just go and find some professional who's been spent 20 years in college to find out what's best for us. We know what's right, we know what's wrong, and we know what's best for the community. We've lived life. We don't have to go and say, oh, this guy's got a degree in this to know whether it's going to help somebody or not. And I think that's what I do, what I need to do based on what I've seen around me throughout life. And I think that's what most people expect us to do. We represent the people, ordinary people, everybody from every walk of life. And that's what I intend to do.
Thank you. Okay, the next question. I guess we'll go ahead and start then with you, Aaron. Governor Parson signed Senate Bill 727 this year, increasing Missouri teacher base pay to $40,000 a year, among other educational enhancements. Nearby Arkansas has a base pay of $60,000. Will this increase in Missouri be enough to attract and keep more teachers in Missouri? And please discuss the support of education in Missouri at all levels.
And were you referring to me? You said
Yes.
Aaron, so
I'm so sorry.
David.
I meant David.
That's
Thank you.
okay. That's okay. I got a little confused. I thought maybe Aaron had jumped on there or
Oh,
something.
no, we haven't seen Aaron. Thank you, David.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Well, you know, we look at the public education funding, and we forget about private education and alternative education, and how much do they get paid in? The teachers get paid in the private education sector. You know, we have to look at that too. What are they getting paid? I'm not sure, but I see a problem in our country, you know, with it's just everything's public and there's no private schools, no alternative education. I was in the Philippines here where my wife lives, and over there I see a lot of Seventh-day Adventist schools and I see a lot of Catholic schools, not like I do here. I don't see much of that here, but that's a Christian nation there as well. And so we need to bring that back here to our country, the same Christian values to the education system.
Thank you. Joe, Nicola.
Yeah, can you repeat the question? I'm pretty sure I
I
understand.
sure will. I sure will. This has to do with Senate bill. Actually, it was the state bill signed 727 this year, increasing Missouri teacher base pay to $40,000 a year. Among other educational enhancements were in that bill. Nearby Arkansas has a base pay of $60,000, and other states vary around us. Will this increase in Missouri be enough to attract and keep more teachers in Missouri? We've had trouble retaining and having enough teachers. And please discuss the support of education in Missouri in general.
Okay, so there's some good things in SB 727, and there's some things that aren't as good. But from my understanding, there's not a funding arm yet for this, and 40,000 is right now in this day and age, it's too low, and teachers need to be paid a little bit higher. I don't think it's enough to keep good teachers or to even recruit more teachers. So I think that needs to be taken care of, and we need to have a funding arm. There needs to be some funding so this gets taken care of as well. But like I said earlier with education, the public school system is not going to go away. And I think we need more different types of schooling and allow parents to make their own decision. But since public schools are not going to go away, we need to do whatever we can to support teachers and support students and make our education system better than it is right now.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll go to question 6, and we'll start with you, Joe. Governor Parson recently visited Kansas City, met with area mayors and county officials to try to help create a plan to keep the Royals and the Chiefs in Missouri. He indicated he supported state money being part of a financial incentive. Would you agree that Missouri should contribute funds to make this happen, and why or why not?
Yes, I do think we need to keep the Chiefs and the Royals in Missouri. I think it's good for the economy to at least to a degree. We do have quite a few people that come across state lines to go to the game, then they go home without spending all that much money. I know that the state already gives quite a bit of money, so I don't know how much they're talking about. I'd like to see some details of what they're actually talking about, how much, what's the exact dollars. But I think we do need to look at ways that we can keep both those teams in Missouri and do what we can. But I'm very concerned, just like the tax back in April, the tax extension is making this putting this on the backs of Jackson County residents to pay an additional sales tax. And our residents are already hurting, and with the high inflation costs, gas costs, food costs, and then also their taxes on their property. So I'd be very concerned and about making this a higher tax in some form. So there's plenty of money in the state budget. That's something we would need to take a look at, and I'd like to see some details of what they are proposing.
Thank you. David Martin. You want me to repeat
Yes.
that? Okay, no
No,
problem.
you're okay. It's fine. I think that the issue with the stadiums and the tax that they had tried to put to the voters, it was overwhelmingly shot down by the voters in Jackson County. I think that we need to respect the residents and their decision. I think, you know, it's not up to the state to fund the Chiefs or the Royals. I think this is up to the team and their supporters, you know, their fans. It's so, or the residents of Jackson County, and they have already spoken. They've spoken against it. So,
Okay, thank you. This is question 7, and we'll start with Joe on this one. Several bills were filed in the Senate this year to eliminate property tax. Would you support this as a senator? And how would you replace that lost revenue for municipalities? Because most of it goes to the city coffers to support libraries, schools, those kinds of things in the city.
So you said property tax. Was it personal property tax or is it real estate?
Real estate.
At this point, no, I would not be for eliminating real estate. I would be for, and I'm running on it, putting a cap of 2% per year, which would be 4% since we are assessed every 2 years. And then also I am certainly for what the law that's already in effect, and that's to seniors that they can freeze their property tax. So, but no, I'm not for eliminating that. I am for eliminating personal property tax. I think that's a burdensome tax we need to get rid of. And I get this question constantly when I talk about eliminating personal property tax, is how are we going to continue to fund our city needs and things. And there's 29 states that don't have it to begin with. And what nobody really ever asks is about waste. We need to get in and cut some waste. If your personal income at your home, you lose a job or your wages are cut somehow, or a spouse loses, you start cutting. You start cutting things. And we need to go in and look at all of the waste. I've worked for the government and when I was in the military and also for a school district, and I can tell you there's tons of waste and that can be cut.
Okay, David Martin, when you address this one on real estate tax, go ahead as Joe did and talk about your thoughts about property tax as well. Personal property.
and what was the original question?
Several bills were filed in the Senate this year to eliminate real estate and probably property as well. None of them passed. Would you support this as a senator, and how would you replace the lost revenue to municipalities?
Right. Okay. So, you know, I've been an advocate for doing away with the property taxes, whether it's personal property tax or real estate property tax. I think we should not have either one. It's like paying rent on something you already purchased. We pay taxes already. We pay income tax. We pay sales tax, and money for funding of projects and all of that can be raised through sales taxes. And actually, who does that hurt the most? The people who already own their property. It's going to hurt. It hurts poor people who don't have the money the most. People who have more money are going to spend more money, and they would be paying more in taxes. So it's sales tax. I would work in the legislature to eliminate, property taxes, personal property tax and real estate property taxes. I would introduce legislation to do away with both of them if I can. Now, as you said, they didn't make it in the legislature, and that's a problem we have. We have a lot of elected representatives, whether it's your state rep or your state senator, who are not on board with it. But that's why we need to start electing people who actually care about it and care about changing these laws. So and rules that prevent the people from flourishing.
Thank you. So we're going to go to question 8, and we'll start, Joe, with you again, and then we'll go back to David. At my count, only 11 bills were signed into law from the legislature this session, although there were many more introduced in both houses. That is the least in modern Missouri history. The Freedom Caucus made headlines for tactics that contributed to legislative dysfunction, and Democrats were criticized for a 50-hour filibuster. Do you see your role as a senator as a bridge builder or a fighter? And please discuss.
Yeah, sure. So the question prior to with the elimination of personal property tax, there's rural counties, rural cities that need that funding. And what I would do is allow those counties or cities to be able to pass their own tax and for their citizens. So that's how I would take care of the rural counties that need that extra money. So I don't think passing more bills is necessarily a good thing. Every bill that's passed is a new law that we have to abide by. I think there's many things that need to be stopped from becoming law. Some laws need to be changed. I think with my skills as a pastor, I have learned to counsel with whether it be husbands and wives, marriage counseling, family counseling, drug counseling, talking with different types of people, different character, coming from different ethnic backgrounds, and being able to bring two sides together to find a common solution. So I think over the years, I've developed that skill to be able to do that. And that's definitely needed in the Senate specifically. And so I could see myself as both a bridge builder as well as a fighter, because there are some things that are encroaching on our freedoms and liberties. And that's why I'm running, as I mentioned earlier, is to secure our freedom and secure our liberty. If there's a bill or a law that's getting ready to be passed that's going to encroach on that, then I'm going to do what I can to stop it.
Thank you. David, I'll repeat this. At my count, only 11 bills were signed into law during this session in both houses. That's the least in modern Missouri history. The Freedom Caucus made headlines for tactics that contributed to legislative dysfunction, and the Democrats were criticized for a 50-hour filibuster. Do you see your role as a senator as a bridge builder or a fighter? And please discuss.
Okay, so with the Democrats had every right to attempt to filibuster, and the Republicans, the Freedom Caucus, they have every right to fight for what they believe in the legislature, in the Senate, or the state reps. That both of them have every right to, and they were standing up for what they believe, and that's what I intend to do. Stand up for what I believe in. But what we have is a problem of leadership in both the House and the Senate in Jeff City. Leadership, they put table stuff and they put bills, so they never make it to the floor. They never get voted on. They never get heard. And so that's what we need to do, is start electing senators and representatives that are going to actually get bills passed and heard. So that's what I intend to do.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start with you again, David, with this next question. The Missouri 2025 budget recently passed for next year cut funds for mental health care, social services, and centers for the disabled. There exists now a surplus in the state budget, or in the state coffers, of $1.9 billion. Do you agree or disagree with these cuts, these particular cuts, and why?
Well, I'm not going to agree or disagree necessarily, but I do recognize that we have a serious problem. We have a mental health problem, especially in Kansas City. I reside in East Kansas City. There's a lot of, there's a lot of homelessness and people who are drug addicts, and we've got a crime problem. A lot of this all stems from mental health issues in Kansas, especially in Kansas City. I know Independence has got a problem as well. And so whether it's the city that's funding it or the county that's funding it or the state, we need to address all of that, not just, say, oh, the state should fund everything. I think we've got to look at what's Kansas City doing, what's Independence doing, what's Jackson County doing.
Okay, thank you. Joe, would you like me to repeat that? Joe
No,
Nicole.
that's fine. There is a huge mental illness problem in our district, as well as homelessness. And, I would need really to see the details of this and how much is going where. But I'll tell you what, one of the things we need to do is bring the community, the church community, and other community organizations. I actually sit on a panel with the police and Habitat for Humanity and several other mental health organizations and church leaders in Independence. And we've been discussing this for several months now of what we can do together to for the mental health crisis that we have and the homelessness, because they're linked together. And I think that's really what's needed is we need to bring all partners together from the community. And because every one of us, the church has a role they can play, police have a certain role they can play, the organizations have a certain role they can play, business leaders have a certain role, and finding some solutions instead of always going to whether the state or the city and asking for more tax money to pay for these programs and things. So I would definitely need to, again, look at all of the details of the budget for these programs to be able to see what's happening. But I would also encourage the communities like we're doing in Independence working together to find solutions.
Thank you. And I will start on this 10th question with Joe again here. With the attempted assassination of Donald Trump on Saturday, national attention has turned to the ready availability of guns and to gun violence in particular. Are there efforts you plan to make in the Missouri Senate to curb gun violence in Missouri? And if so, please describe them, or if not, please explain why not.
No, I think we need to do whatever we can to protect our citizens' Second Amendment rights. There are a lot of gun laws already on the books. One of the problems with our gun laws is they're just not being enforced, and we need to enforce those gun laws. And look, we don't have a gun problem. We have a cultural problem. And I know the guns get a lot of media attention, but we've got hundreds of people a day dying from fentanyl. And we've got a fentanyl crisis. Fentanyl's killing way more people than guns are. And that's a whole nother issue we need to really take a look at. So no, I am for enforcing the laws that are already on the books. That's what we have to do. And it's not even happening here in Jackson County. Prosecutors aren't prosecuting crime. They're not even prosecuting fentanyl crimes unless it's committed with a gun or some kind of violence. They're just letting it go. And some of these, what we might call petty crimes, they're not petty crimes. Breaking into cars and houses, some of these things are just being let go. It's we've got to prosecute crime, and one of the best deterrents is discipline, and that's what we do with our kids. We just don't let our children just do whatever they want to do. We correct them, and we have some discipline. It's a great deterrent, and it's just not happening in Jackson County. It's not happening, and it's not happening in a lot of places across America.
Thank you. David Martin.
Yes, so we've discussed a couple of issues. One is mental illness, substance abuse, drug problems, homelessness, and we've got to look at these issues. It's not just a gun violence problem. There's definitely issues associated with substance abuse, mental illness, and I see it in my community. I've seen multiple homicides, whether what are they related to? Do you think it's just, oh, it's just gun violence? No, it's related to drug deals. It's related to mental illness. It's related to all these other issues that need to be addressed. So that's where I'm at on that. And I want to protect our Second Amendment, you know.
Okay. The next question, and we only have a few more left here. We're going pretty quickly with just two people, but that's the way it is.
No, that's fine.
That's fine. We will start this time with you, David. There are two constitutional amendments sponsored by the legislature on the August 6th ballot. Number one would exempt childcare locations from property taxes. And this is to increase the availability of childcare, actually. It's a problem in the state. Number four would increase minimum funding for the Kansas City Police Department from 20 to 25% of the Kansas City's budget. How do you plan to vote on these two amendments and why?
Well, let's address the child care one first. I believe that, you know, also because that addresses some of the property tax issues. I believe that property taxes are a hindrance to people flourishing and being productive. And I think it's a good idea. I think that we should not be taxing, especially you looking at that, that's going to help the business make it and be able to afford to operate. And it's going to potentially help parents who have their kids in daycare, or, you know, it's a great idea. I definitely support that. And now let's look at what was the other question or the other one?
Yeah, the Kansas City Police Department, that they would,
yes,
their budget would be
yes,
mandatory 25% instead of 20% as it is now.
Correct. Okay, so having lived in Kansas City a good time, I recognize that Mayor Quentin Lucas has been very inept in his handling of the police funding. He basically sided with people who wanted to defund the police and make us less safe in our community. We need to make sure that residents of Senate District 11 are safe. That includes the ones in Kansas City all the way out to Oak Grove up to Sibley. We have to make sure that they have the necessary funds to operate, whether it's equipment or pay, and that's where I stand on it. We definitely have to protect them.
Thank you. Joe Nicola, would you like me to repeat these two amendments?
No, thank you. I appreciate that. On the child care locations and exempting them from property tax, I would be all for that. I'm for lower taxes and no taxes wherever we can get it. And I think the child care is certainly an issue that needs to be addressed. And this is one way that we can do that. So yes, I would be for that. As far as the police, I'm running on that issue as well, that we need to fully fund law enforcement and get them the training and the equipment that they need to keep our neighborhoods and our cities as safe as possible. So yes, I would be certainly for helping the law enforcement in any possible way we can.
Okay. So number 12, this is your last question before you have closing remarks. Please, we'll start this one. I think it's Joe's turn. Answer a question of your choice that you think is important that you wish we had asked tonight.
Well, I really mentioned it already, but I'll talk about it again. And that's the opioid, the drug crisis that we have specifically with fentanyl. There's a new drug that's out now called Tranq, and our borders are wide open, and we have all kinds of illegal drugs coming across. That's where fentanyl is coming in, and it's killing our kids. Where hundreds and thousands of kids a day are dying from overdose. It doesn't take much fentanyl. And like I mentioned as well earlier, fentanyl cases aren't being prosecuted in Jackson County unless some other violence or gun related violence is committed at the same time. And we've got to find a way to hold our prosecutors accountable for prosecuting crime, because some police officers are getting very frustrated in arresting criminals and nothing happens to them in court, and they're not getting prosecuted and they're just being let out. So that's a question I would hope that we would discuss more often, is the fentanyl crisis and how it's killing our kids, specifically our kids, but everybody.
Thank you. David, what question do you wish we had asked that you'd like to answer?
Well, I would like to have been given the opportunity to address something that's very important to somebody I support for president, and that's Donald Trump, and which is the border crisis. We have a border crisis issue, southern border. People from all around the globe are coming up through the southern border. They are coming from every country, because in South America, there's a couple of countries you can just fly in. You don't need a visa to stay. You just fly in and you can stay as long as you want. And so they come on up to the US through Mexico. So we need to address this issue. As Joe has mentioned, we have a drug problem, fentanyl problem in our country, coming across our southern border, funded through China. And if we don't address this, we're going to lose a lot of people in the community. I see it every day. We see it in the homeless population. People have tremendous drug problems in Kansas City, East Kansas City. And it's very unfortunate. It's ruining their lives. And so we need to address this issue for the safety of our community, for the safety of our state. And we need to elect people who are going to stand with our president, Donald Trump.
Thank you. Okay, candidates, it's time for your 2-minute closing remarks. Take a moment to gather your thoughts. And thank you, audience, for your thought-provoking questions and your interest in this election. Remember, again, this forum will be archived in our website, lwv.org, and available to you on YouTube, starting within, I think, 24 to 48 hours. So, starting with the 2-minute closings, and since we started with Joe, we will start with David tonight for the closing. David Martin.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you having this forum. I'm disappointed that a couple of the other candidates weren't available. So I'd like to have heard their opinions on the issues in the community and in our district and state. So I've run before. I ran for House District 29, entirely located in Independence. I won the Republican primary. I have some name recognition in this district from my previous run, and I believe that in the end, the voters, they will support me. I have a lot of support in the community. I've been out there going door to door. Despite being one of the lowest funded candidates, I am campaigning in the community by reaching out to the voters. Unlike some of my opponents, they're not willing to do that. They're more willing to spend money on giant mail pieces that are like 2 feet long. I mean, I know it's not literally that, but it would appear to be that way. And they're not actually talking to the voters, hearing what the issues are to them. And that's what I'm doing. And I intend to win this on August 6th. I've got a website if somebody would like to go to it. It's David Martin for Senate, www.davidmartinforsenate.com. And check out I'm on Facebook. I'm around, and I'm working hard on this campaign, and I'd appreciate the support of the voters.
Thank you. Joe
Thank you.
Nicola.
Sure. Hey, thank you so much, the League of Women Voters, and for all of the viewers, the voters that are online. Thank you for taking time to watch this and be part of this. And David, thank you for being here as well. And I wish our other candidates would have participated so the voters would get a good comparison of all of us. Again, I'm running in this race to secure our freedoms. We shouldn't be calling our elected officials leaders. They're really servants under our Constitution. We are hired by being elected by the voters, and we're paid by the voters. and we can be fired by the voters. And so we need true servants now in this time, but we need servants that have a backbone, that have a spine, that aren't going to be weak and back down, because we're in a critical state in this country and also in our state. And there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. And we have to have people that have character and perseverance and the will to work with both sides and everybody in the legislature to get things done to better our communities and better the lives of our citizens. And so I'm asking for your vote on August 6th. Early voting will begin no excuse early voting begins next Tuesday. And the election day is August 6th. And I'm asking for your vote. I'm the only true viable grassroots candidate in the race. I'm completely supported by individuals and people, regular voters, unlike one of my opponents that is funded over 80% by special interest. And he's already forecasting who he's going to be working for. I'm going to be working for the people. That's what I've done for 34 years as a pastor. And I would sure appreciate your vote so I can go to Jeff City and work and fight for you. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you both. And for your willingness to participate in this forum. We're glad you're here. Remember, a recording will be available soon. Audience, take the time to share the insight you have gained tonight with your family, friends, and be sure to get out to the polls again and vote on Tuesday, August 6th. And as David said, I think it's Tuesday is when we start no excuse voting, that you can start early.
That's correct.
So, yeah. So thank you and good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
I actually have some closing remarks. Thank you, candidates, for being here. Thank you, audience, for your thought-provoking questions and your interest in the August 6th primary election. The recording of this forum will be available on the League's website, lwvkc.org, and on YouTube. Take a moment to share the forum with your friends and neighbors and on your social media and next door so that they can also. We've noticed that we get a lot of YouTube views right before the election. Sometimes 6:30 on a Thursday afternoon, evening is not the best time to watch, but 2 a.m. comes around and you're going to the poll the next day, and then you get to see the answers for the candidates. Thank you, good night, and good luck at the polls.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.